Good morning, this is Rich Nelson with Allendale. Special update. Today's date is November 8th of 2018. Today's monthly supply and demand report here from USDA, so certainly to get a lot of interest here from the market, and certainly some market moving interest or market moving numbers from USDA here this morning. Now, starting out with corn, the trade expectation was for a mild decline in corn ending stocks on this report, and USDA gave us a little bit more than we expected. In fact, ending stocks were, as far as the current crop season, were lowered from 1.813 billion bushels to now 1.736 billion bushels. So this is still the tightest number we've got in about 5 years as far as U.S. corn ending stocks. So that certainly was pretty exciting. As far as the way USDA made this happen, they did lower the production by about 152 million bushels. Part of that was from a decline in corn yields from 180.7 to now 178.9. So that was pretty exciting. Part of this was offset by maybe a 50 million bushel decline in terms of feed use. Of course, lower production, therefore, generally means lower feed use. And also, USDA trimmed their export number by 25 million bushels. The lower export number was more or less reasonable considering the fact we are slightly behind their previous October pace. But overall, U.S. corn numbers were supportive here this morning. Now, as far as the world side on the corn numbers, the trade was more or less surprised here by the news out of China that they had went back to 2007 and pretty much readjusted all of their previous all of their previous Chinese corn numbers. USDA did incorporate that on this report, so making changes from last month or comparisons probably not a good one right there. But as far as this report on the non-China discussions, Argentina was raised by 1.5 million tons on this report, now 42.5 for corn production. European Union was lowered by 1.5 million tons. And as far as the Chinese numbers, USDA now has them up to 256 million tons for this year's production, a bit more than the previous estimate of 225. The way the market is trading this whole adjustment to the past 10 years, 11 years of Chinese numbers, they're more or less saying, all right, well, let's just adjust that back and say that prices that were traded over the past 10 years were more likely already known about, or less or I should say that their numbers are already factored into the market's viewpoint. So regardless of the bearish-looking movement here, this was not seen as far as a market-moving effect for today's discussion. Over on the soybean side, it looks like USDA did raise the ending stock numbers as the trade expected, but they raised them a bit more than the trade is looking for. Stocks were raised from 885 million bushels to now 955 million bushels. So like I said, we're almost at 1 billion bushels, and certainly some talk is once we hit the 2019 crop included, we'll probably be seeing numbers pushing over 1 billion in ending stocks. Now, as far as USDA's numbers, they did make a 90 million bushel drop to this this soybean production. That was a bit more than we expected to see. Also, they bullishly raised the domestic crush by 10 million bushels. So that was also positive. However, all of this was overshadowed by a sharp 160 million bushel decline in their estimate for exports on this report. So that certainly got the trade's attention. That's why this market certainly will be pressured on the soybean side here today. Now, as far as the numbers on the world side for beans, looks like Argentina was lowered by 1.5 million tons, now 55.5. As far as other numbers, USDA did make some moderate adjustments to their China beliefs. They did raise production from 15 to now 16 million tons, and they did make a pretty good drop in terms of the import numbers, going from their 94 million ton estimate back in October to now 90. As a reminder, the Chinese government has their own estimate at 84. So this did bring them closer to that estimate, but not quite to that point yet here. And as far as it looks like on the wheat numbers, for the most part, this is a slightly positive report. Ending stocks were lowered from 956 to now 949 million bushels. As far as the only change, we did have a minor adjustment to the USDA's estimate of seed use. And as far as the world side for wheat, it looks like we did see an increase in stocks. We do have to respect that. This was made with a good increase for the Chinese wheat crop, now 132.5 million tons. That was up 4.5 from last month, and that did overshadow declines for Australia as well as Pakistan. So today's report, certainly on the corn side, this is going to be seen as maybe a little positive on this one. Soybeans clearly bearish with much higher than expected stocks, and once you include some changes for 2019, we might be pushing 1 billion bushels at some point next year. As far as wheat numbers, we'll call this for the most part neutral on the U.S. side, and then on the world side, maybe slightly negative here. If you have any reports about these numbers, USDA's approach, how to market crops in this environment, or trade, give us a call here at Allendale, 1-800-262-7538.